Today we're going to look at solving systems of equations using elimination. So first we're going to look at our steps of solving a system using elimination. So the goal is to eliminate one of the variables. So we want to eliminate one of the variables. To do this, we need to add opposites. So that just means that we have the same number but different signs. So in order to have that happen, we're going to multiply one or both of the equations to get a variable with the same coefficient. Then we're going to add the equations together, and we're going to solve for the remaining variable. And lastly, we will substitute that answer into one of the original equations and solve for the second variable. So let's look at example 1. Our system is x minus 2y equals negative 9 and x plus 3y equals 16. So what we want to happen is to be able to add straight up and down and have one of the variables cancel. So right now these are both 1's in front of this x and that x. If we add 1x plus 1x, that doesn't cancel, that gives us 2. If we add the y's, negative 2 plus 3, that gives us 1. That doesn't cancel either. So we need to multiply one of these equations so we can add and get rid of one of the variables. So I'm going to say I want to get rid of the x's. So if I want to get rid of the x's, I need one of these to be positive 1 and one of these to be negative 1. So I'm going to take this top equation and I'm going to multiply it all by negative 1. So negative 1 times 1x gives me negative 1x. Negative 1 times negative 2y gives me positive 2y. And negative 1 times negative 9 gives me positive 9. Then this bottom equation, I'm just going to carry over. I'm not going to do anything to that. I'm just going to bring it straight over. But now, if I get ready to add these, negative 1x plus 1x, that cancels. If I add my y's, 2y plus 3y gives me 5y. And 9 plus 16 will give me 25. Now I have an equation I can actually solve. I'm going to solve this for y. So divide both sides by 5, and y equals 5. But we need to know what x is as well. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick one of these equations. Doesn't matter which one you choose. So I'm just going to choose this bottom one. Choose whatever looks the easiest to you. And it was x plus 3y equals 16. And you're going to substitute in whatever you solved for. So I just solved for y. So I'm going to substitute that y in where the y is in the equation. So x plus 3 times 5 equals 16. Now I can solve this. So 3 times 5 is 15. So x plus 15 equals 16. Subtract 15 from both sides. And x equals positive 1. So now I have the solution to my system. So remember, your solution is going to be an order pair with your x coming first, which is 1, and your y, which is 5. That's the solution to the system. All right, so let's look at example 2. We have the system 2x minus y equals 9 and 3x plus 4y equals negative 14. So if we were to add straight up and down, our x's won't cancel, 2 plus 3. Our y's, remember this is like a negative 1, negative 1 plus 4, that doesn't cancel either. But if you look at your y's, you have opposite signs already. You have a positive in the bottom equation and a negative in the top equation. So if I take this top equation and multiply by 4, then that will give us a negative 4y and a positive 4y. So let's distribute. So 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4y. And 4 times 9 equals 36. This bottom one we're just going to carry straight over, which is 3x plus 4y equals negative 14. But now I'm going to add straight up and down. So if I add my x's, 8x plus 3x is 11x. And negative 4 plus 4, this now cancels, which is what we wanted to happen. And 36 plus negative 14 is 22. But now we can solve this equation. So we'll just divide both sides by 11, and x equals 2. Now, we're going to go back and pick an equation. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Pick what looks the easiest to you. So I'm going to pick this top one, which was 2x minus y equals 9. You're going to substitute in whatever you solve for. So I solved for x, so I'm going to fill that in where the x is. So 2 times 2 minus y equals 9. I'm going to solve. 2 times 2 is 4, minus y equals 9. So I'm going to subtract 4. So negative y equals 5. But remember, this is really negative 1y. So now divide by negative 1, and y equals negative 5. Then your solution, you write as an ordered pair. Your x comes first, which is 2. Your y, which is negative 5. So your solution is 2, negative 5. If you were to graph that system, that's the point where those two lines would intersect. Okay, so example 3, our system is 4x minus 3y equals 25, and negative 3x plus 8y equals 10. So if we go to add straight up and down, once again our x's won't cancel, 4 plus negative 3. Our y's won't cancel, negative 3 plus 8. So this is a situation where we're going to have to multiply both of these equations. So I'm just going to start by looking at my x's, because on my x's I already have different signs. I have a positive 4 and a negative 3. So I'm going to try to eliminate my x's. So if I take this top equation and multiply it by 3, and take the bottom equation and multiply it by 4, my x's will have the same coefficient, which is 12, and I'll have opposite signs. So distribute on the top. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times negative 3y is negative 9y. And 3 times 25 is 75. I'm going to distribute the 4 to the bottom one. So 4 times negative 3x is negative 12x. 4 times 8y is positive 32y. And 4 times 10 is 40. Now I'm going to add straight up and down. 12x plus negative 12x, this cancels, which is what we wanted to happen. Negative 9 plus negative 9 plus 32y, rather, is 23y equals, and 75 plus 40 is 115. But now we can solve this equation. So we'll divide both sides by 23, and y equals 5. Okay, then we're going to go back. We're going to pick an equation. It doesn't matter which one. Pick one, whichever one looks easiest to you. So I'm going to take the top one, which is 4x minus 3y equals 25. And I'm going to substitute in what I solved for, which happened to be y. So we're going to plug that in for the y. So 4x minus 3 times 5 equals 25. So 4x, negative 3 times 5 is negative 15, equals 25. Then we'll add 15 to both sides. So that becomes 4x equals 40. Divide both sides by 4, and x equals 10. So our solution is our ordered pair with the x coming first, which was 10, and then the y, which is 5. This is your solution to the system, 10, 5. Okay, so this is a U-try. So I would pause the video, try it on your own, then come back and watch, see if you get the correct answer. So our system's negative 2x minus 9y equals negative 25, and negative 4x minus 9y equals negative 23. So if I add straight up and down, my x's do not cancel, negative 2 and negative 4. My y's do not cancel because they're both negative 9. So I'm going to have to multiply. And what I'm going to do, and there's a couple different ways you could do this, but I'm going to go with the y's because our y's have the same number. So all I need to do is to get them to be opposites and they would cancel. So I'm going to take this top equation and I'm going to multiply by negative 1. So distribute that. Negative 1 times negative 2x is positive 2x. Negative 1 times negative 9y is positive 9y. Negative 1 times negative 25 is positive 25. This bottom equation I'll bring straight over. So negative 4x minus 9y equals negative 23. Okay, so now I'll add straight up and down. So 2x plus negative 4x is negative 2x. The y's, positive 9 plus negative 9, different signs, so these cancel. 25 plus negative 23 is positive 2. Now we'll solve this equation. So we'll divide both sides by negative 2, and x equals negative 1. Okay, but now we need to solve for y. So we'll go back and pick an equation. Once again, it doesn't matter what you pick. So I'm just going to pick this first one we started with, which is negative 2x minus 9y equals negative 25. You'll substitute in what you solved for, which was x. So we're going to have negative 2 times negative 1. Subtract 9y equals negative 25. So negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2 minus 9y equals negative 25. Solve this, so subtract 2. So negative 9y equals negative 27. Divide by negative 9, and y equals positive 3. So the solution is your ordered pair. So the x comes first, which is negative 1, then your y, which is positive 3. Okay, same thing here. Why don't you pause it, try it on your own, and then come back and watch and see what you get. So if we were to try to add again, our x's do not cancel, 8 plus negative 6. Our y's do not cancel, 14 plus negative 7. So we have to eliminate one of the variables. So I think I'm going to look at the y's. We have a negative 7 and a positive 14, so they're already different signs. And if I were to multiply the bottom one by 2, that would give me a negative 14. So I'm going to bring this top one straight over. I'm not doing anything to it. So 8x plus 14y equals 4. But on the bottom, I'm going to distribute this positive 2, which gives us negative 12x. Negative 14y equals negative 20. So now I'll add straight up and down. 8x plus negative 12x is negative 4x. 14 plus negative 14, those cancel. And 4 minus 20, or 4 plus negative 20, is negative 16. Solve this equation. Divide by negative 4. And x equals positive 4. Okay, come back, pick an equation. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm going to pick the top one since there's not any negatives here, which was 8x plus 14y equals 4. Substitute in what you solved for, which in this case was the x. So 8 times 4 plus 14y equals 4. Solve. So 32 plus 14y equals 4. Subtract 32. So 14y equals, so 4 minus 32 is negative 28. Divide by 14, and y equals negative 2. So your ordered pair, x is first, which was the 4, and then the y, which is negative 2. That's your solution to the system.